Hi, I'm Bobi Wine, a freedom fighter from Uganda, and I'm glad to be here at OkayAfrica. Thank you. Well, we're beginning from the 15th of January, but the story carries even from way back. We had the most brutal experience, so many people killed, but a few days before the election, on the 15th of January, the internet was switched off. So we had a presidential election in January, on the 15th of January, with blacked out internet completely switched off. My entire campaign team abducted, many missing and others in prison. And as soon as my wife and I cast our ballot, we were placed in house arrest. A day later, our house was raided by the military. I was able to escape and disappeared and remained in hiding for another week until again my house was raided and my wife was assaulted, beaten up by the military, stripped naked and filmed. Her pictures were later to be tweeted by General Muhoozi, who is the Chief of Defense Forces and son of the President of Uganda, claiming that he was teaching me a lesson. Meanwhile, he was issuing orders publicly, tweeting that I should be found and castrated, and he gave orders to deliver me to him, dead or alive. It took me more than a month and a half of hiding until I was able to make it out of the country. And here I am. Meanwhile, my team remains in prison, others remain in hiding, and the abductions continue. But we refuse to give up because we know ultimately our country is going to be free. Absolutely every dictator, from Hitler to Mussolini to Stalin to Mugabe, they all had supporters, those that feed from their hands, those that benefit from the misrule. Definitely there are those, their family members and their close team. There are definitely those that benefit from the suffering of the people. Right from the days of slavery, there were black people that were benefiting from the slavery. Colonialism, there were Africans that were benefiting from colonialism. So definitely there are those that benefit from the dictatorship in Uganda, and therefore they support the dictator. I must make it clear that when power changes, it will not be in my hands. It will be in the hands of the people. We call ourselves people power because we want to move power from one man to the masses, to the institutions. We want to move power from the guns to the people. So when power is finally in the hands of the people, represented by me or any leader that will be elected by the people, what we want to change is to end absolute rule, is to end dictatorship, to end gun rule, to bring back democracy, to bring back respect for human rights, to build a country where citizens will not fear to criticize leaders for fear of repercussions, where citizens will be equal before and under the law, where there will be zero tolerance to corruption, where there will be real pan-Africanism and real national pride. That's what we want to bring in our country. I think both, because authoritarian rule is facilitated by people that give up their fight. So yes, it scares me to see people giving up. That's why among the many things we want to do is to keep the hope alive, is to keep our people believing, to keep hoping against hope. That is what we want to stop. That sense of, giving up, I wouldn't say Africans are turning on Africans. I would say some Africans are turning on Africans, and that's the highest level of ignorance and idiocy. You'll pardon my choice of words, but that's exactly what it is. It is sad, most importantly, to see that this is prevalently in South Africa. I mean, when South Africa was under apartheid rule, when it was under white minority rule, we came together as Africans. There were fronts for South Africa, in Ghana, in Tanzania, in Nigeria. In Uganda, we had a training wing, a training ground called Kaweweta. It was established to train South African fighters and other African fighters that were going to liberate South Africa under the Mkhonto we Sizwe arrangement. So it is just very, very disappointing, and I'm sure Mandela and all those great freedom fighters must be turning in their graves to see that their legacy is being abused by those that we all fought to liberate. While I believe that every country's laws should be respected and migration should be limited. But it's such a shame to see Africans not attacking white people, no matter how illegal they might be in their country, but attacking Africans. It's the highest level of self-hate and self-denial. We condemn it, and we continue to call upon the authorities in South Africa and the leaders all over Africa to condemn that and make sure it comes to an end. Because, to be made to feel less simply because you are black in Africa is a shame. I know that it is two-way. First of all, of course, they are politicians, and that is the reason why I hate to be referred to as a politician, because the word politician has in many, many ways lost meaning. There are those politicians that fan those xenophobic flames to gain political relevance. But I'm also tempted to believe that this could actually be a trick to bring back apartheid, because now for we, the Africans that came together to support South Africa, I can imagine that after those few short-sighted South Africans doing what they're doing to their African brothers and sisters, it is a way of isolating South Africa from the rest of Africans. Imagine if they went back to oppression, because it is very possible. Which African would stand with them? So while they think that they are protecting their territory, they're actually setting themselves against the rest of Africa. If I was them, which I'm not, I would think twice or even thrice. Music, without a doubt. Music communicates, it touches the soul, and it comes in no questionable way. I was more listened to as a musician, and I miss my musical days. But unfortunately, especially back home where I come from in Africa, music tends to be not taken serious enough. I was an artist, and everything that I'm saying, I said before, only with a beat and with a different look. I never used to look like this. I was free with my free flowing locks and everything, but I had to dress up for the role in order to be taken much more seriously. And these things that I'm saying, I was saying in my music, I only chose to get the mandate of the people and go to the formal platform, and that is the parliament, so I can say formally what I was saying through music. And yes, it has come with benefit to the cause, because people have taken me more seriously. It has brought more people to attention. It has brought more attention from the common people to the politics. Back then in Uganda, and I believe largely in Africa, politics was a matter of politicians, the elite, the intellectuals, and all those. And there was a big divide between the common people and the politics of their country. I myself, in my younger days, I would say, nah man, I'm not a politician, I don't deal with politics. Until it became apparent to me that politics is everything. Politics is the air we breathe. Politics determines the price of everything we buy, the sugar, the oil, the fuel and everything. Politics even determines how long we live, because it determines whether or not we have good schools or good hospitals. And that is why I took a step and invited the masses into the politics. Today, back in the days of Idi Amin and other leaders, the political prisoners were the intellectuals, the professors, lawyers, engineers, and all that. Today in Uganda, the political prisoners are the barbers, the taxi drivers, the market vendors. Why? Because my entry encouraged all the ghetto people where I came from to own up their politics, because they vote. It made them realize that they have the same and equal right with the intellectuals on the matters of the country. And they got involved. No wonder the regime got so scared that they stopped arresting political activists, but they just abduct them and kill them to completely discourage and disconnect the people from the politics of their country. Music has always had the power. Music has the power, and I believe music will always have the power. Not just now, during the days of slavery, during the days of colonialism, during the days of apartheid. It is music. The most that we remember are the protest songs. And indeed, we look back in history and bring them back. Music is so powerful to the extent that my music is banned in Uganda. You cannot, so many people are in prison. Others have been killed for being found playing my music loudly, because that music is one unstoppable force. Yes, the dictators of the day have learned how to deal with it, because now the budget that the Ugandan dictator General Museveni uses to buy up the artists and compromise them is bigger than the budget that is put in healthcare, because music is such a force. But I'm so proud to know that there are some artists that are unbuyable and uncompromisable, because they know if they're unbought, they're unbossed. I don't just think about creating music. I'm a music man. I'm a music man. I am an artist that realized that artist is just a calling, and I cannot be limited to just singing and performing. I can do much more than that. I'm 44 years now. I'm an elder. I come from the youngest country in the world. Uganda has the youngest population in the world. Over 85% of our population is under the age of 35. So I cannot just sing. I ceased only singing about issues. Now I want to act upon them. So yes, I'm a music man. My music might be bought, banned, but I still produce songs and put them on YouTube and use the internet to send them far and wide. Yeah. Music is me and I'm music. You cannot disconnect the two of us. Oh man, I miss myself. I miss my freedom. I was less accountable. I was less politically correct. I did not have to think twice about the things I say. You know, I was more free, and I was less targeted because I was taken less serious. Yeah, and I had more time for myself. But now it's no longer just about myself. It's no longer just about what I think. It's about what we all think. This what I think. But now it's not just me. When I speak, I'm not speaking just for myself. I'm speaking for the millions that don't only support me, but actually went on the line and voted for me to be their president. Not once, but twice. So now I don't speak just for me. I speak for everybody. I speak for an entire country. I'm more accountable than I was. And I miss the unseriousness, man. You know, yeah, now I cannot live like a man. I live like a leader. And I'm answerable to the population much more than I was then. So I miss that. But when responsibility calls, one has got to answer. That's a random question. Yeah, I think the message would be rise up, take charge. You are the present, you are the future. Don't wait for nobody. It is you. First and foremost, thank the world for the voices that they've raised, not just for Uganda, but for Africa and the world. And I want to call upon the world to look and give attention to the oppressed places in Africa, places like Uganda, where there's 50 million people that have been oppressed for 40 years, ruled on gunpoint by a dictator. Places like Congo, where there's a constant genocide going on. Places like Cameroon that has no voice. Places like Eritrea. Many. To all the Africans out there, they should know that we are on our own and each other is all that we have. While the world is concentrating on Ukraine, and rightly so, on Palestine, and rightly so, on many other oppressed places, I want the world to know, and the Africans to know, that more people are killed and being killed in the Congo more than Palestine and Ukraine combined. but we don't get the attention. So if we don't speak up, nobody's going to hear us. We, the voices that manage to smuggle the truth out of home, whether it be Congo or Uganda or Tanzania or Sudan, let us speak for our people. For we are all our people have got. There's a reason why God elevated us to these platforms that we have, not for us to get paid and live comfortably, but to make sure home gets better. And to remind every African that is living in a foreign land, be it Europe or in America, this is not your home. Africa is your home. Let us make home better. And that way, our brothers and sisters will not have to die on the sea trying to escape from home. Our brothers and sisters are not going to be humiliated in a foreign land, being called whatever kind of names. Now, we used to tolerate the humiliation in foreign lands in the West, but we are facing it on our own continent. Why? Because of misrule. Let us speak out against misrule. Let us come together and remember that for colonialism to end, it took all of us coming together. For apartheid to end, it took all of us come together. And for dictatorships and misrule to end in Africa, it takes us coming together. And most importantly, and this is a message that I want all of us to speak with one voice, to the Western powers, the United States of America, the European countries, and all these other countries. They are in many ways responsible for the misrule back home. For example, in Uganda, for decades, America was giving General Museveni up to $1 billion US, especially in security cooperation. That is the money that acts as the wind beneath the dictator's wing. So let us call them out to stand and act by the values that they profess. Because what they tolerate in Africa, they don't tolerate in Europe. I've not seen any American diplomat or president standing shoulder to shoulder with the Belarusian dictator Lukashenko, the same way they stand shoulder to shoulder with Museveni or with Paul Biya of Cameroon or with the dictators in Africa. So call them out and tell them that they should hold African leaders by the same standards of democracy and human rights. They cannot continue saying, oh, yeah, there's dictatorship in Africa, there's mass murder, but we can close an eye to that and do business with them. You know, our minerals are supposed to be, if we are to trade, exchange for us to get our dignity. There's a book that I co-authored called Expensive Poverty. Our wealth is not supposed to be our curse. We are not asking them to come and save us. We are asking them to stop sponsoring our oppressors. When that is spoken loud enough by more of us, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to touch the conscience of these Western powers. Because when America says we are not going to sponsor dictators in Africa, it will be game over. When Europe says we are going to stop sponsoring dictators in Africa, it will be game over. Right now, I was elected president, but I'm in exile. But on the 12th of May, Museveni is going to swear himself in. And you're going to see international diplomats pretending that everything is all right, dealing with a brutal dictator as if they're dealing with a legitimate leader. So we want them to stand by the values that they profess, or be honest and say they're partners in crime and they don't care what happens to us. Thank you.